Hello guys, today we are going to start to the random number generation and the recursive function usage in the C programming language. Okay, these two topics are the important parameters or the function calling process in the C programming language, because you may use the random generation in everywhere where you need to program in any language. Okay, and so the algorithm and its implementation on the C, C++, or the C# or Java programming, and so it's important. Okay, and so in the other way we will need to learn the usage of the recursive function, because the recursive function is based on the return value of our programming techniques. Okay, like the factorial calculation or the any other linked list application. Okay, and so in order to start a new project, we should create a new project by using this button in here, and so we should select the empty project under the C++ programming, and so we push the next button in here, and so we need to select the specific location of this program, and so I can select the week 10 folder, but you may use the other folder in here. Okay, and so the project name is assigned to what? The week 10. Okay, and so if I push the create button in here, and then the program is started. And so editor creates the three folder in here: header files, resource files, and source files. And so in order to create a C programming language or C program, and then we need to add the main function body in here. And so in order to do that, the source file should be added as a new item in here as a C++, but with the small difference is that the main.extension C. Okay, if we are using the CPP or C++, and so the compiler is changed with the C++ compiler. Okay, and so if I give the enter in here, the week 10 program is created under the what? Under the main C text editor. Firstly, we should create some command line in here, like this one, the random generation number. Okay, and so we should close this command line in order to create the more readable code in the C programming language. Okay, and so in order to test our program, we should include the stdio or standard input output header file in order to use the printf or scanf function in the C programming language. And so we should give the int main function body in here with the return value of the 0, and so we can start the program the address of the main and continues with what? With this progress or written a code or written inside the main function body. Okay, and so I'm gonna test our program hello guys in here, like this one. And so if I run this program by pushing the Control F5 button in here, and so hello guys is opening in the debug console session. Okay, these are the main general test program, but our subject or the topics is related to what? The random generation number. Okay, and so what is the random generation number? And so suppose that we want to create a dynamic array or some sort of the array structure in the C programming language, like I'm totally give some shit in here: 1, 35, 7, 8, 9, and so 5, 3, 11, and so go on. And so we may use this notation by using the random process or the random notation, because in the random notation, especially in the probability theory, we can use it because everything in the universe is a random or probabilistic process, because we cannot be sure about the exact process on the universe, and so as well as in our engineering design. And so we may or we should use the random generation to initialize any array in the neural network or the control theory, or the initialize any database by using this structure. And so this is the main process of random generation number. Okay, and so generating the totally random number with or based on the probabilistic approach. Probabilistic approach appears as a complex term, but it's not. It's simple, and the mean and variance value or covariance value can be used this kind of numbers or the other process. Okay. And so in the C programming language we may use some general function in order to create the random number generation, which is the functions of these terms. Rand function. Rand function generates or producing the values between 0 to 32 767. Okay, and so if I use this program and then this rand function, it returns the value of between 0 to 32,768. Okay, 67. And so if I'm using this function block, and then I can explain with some following codes in this structure. Okay, x1. And so suppose that our function body in here, and so if you are learned to how can we use the rand function in here, and so search online gives us the return value and its parameters. Okay, and so if I push the right click in here and go to definition of this function, and so we can use this calling technique. Okay, and so in order to analyze this rand function, we can assign some specific example in here. Random function or random value is to %d, because the return value is in the type of the integer. And so if I call the rand function in here, and so if I run this program, and then the program is returned to 41. Okay, and so if I run again, and so this is also a 41. Okay, and so if I copy off these things in the 5 process in here like this one, and if I run this program, and then the 41, 18,468, and so blah blah blah. Okay, and so if I run again, and so the number is always with the same with the previous running process. Okay, and so what's the problem? So this code is the numbers are always with the previous one. And so the rand function has a unique property to produce some random generation, which means that we have the specific kind of the seed value in this process. Okay, and so in order to create every time a random function in here, we should use the srand function in order to reinitialize to what? To the seed value of this function body. Okay? And so suppose that the srand, which is declared into srand, which is declared not to the standard input output function, but in the what? std library.h. Okay, and so srand can be reachable at this time, and so unsigned int a seed value should be given at this position. For example, suppose that the 1 is given at this time, and so the printf function should be given at this position. Okay, and so random number %d new line, the rand function can be calling in this notation, and so the rand function declared by using these terms. Okay, and so if I run this program with the multiple printf function body, and so we have the 41 1 or 18,467 and blah blah blah. Okay, and so if I run this program, and again is the same number is given in here. Okay, and so 14 is given at this position, and so this time this number is changed. Okay, and so srand function may be given at this time, but the 25 is also given the other results. Okay, and so the main problem is that srand or seed value should be changed for a what? Total random generation process. Okay, these are the main objective in here, but how can we change this process by using some specific function? How can we do that? And so the x3 is directly related to this diagram, and so we need to get the total time information or the total information in order to set the srand function from the what? The processor. Okay, and so int main should be given it in here, and then we should obtain the srand function by using what? The time variable in here, and with the null character. And so if we are using the time, and so we need to add the time.h value. Okay, time returns the different processing time unit value to srand, and so at each time if I run this program, and so srand initialize with the different values of the seed effect. Okay, and so if I write the printf function in here like this one, the random number in here %d rand value at this time, and so I copy off these things, and then if I run this program, and then we have 28,000 blah 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 4,000 blah blah blah. Okay, and so if I run again this program, 28,400 blah blah blah, and so if I run this program, 28 blah blah blah, but all the number is different, and so 28,574, and so 28,593 4, and so 25 or 28,609. Okay, and so the maximum values of these things can be written by using this analogy, but in the general terms, while loop can be generated in here, and iteration if is smaller than 100 or 1,100,000, and so int iteration is equal to the 0, and so we can produce the random number in here like this one, okay, by using the loop values. Rand function can be called in here, and so if I run this program, and then these numbers are totally random, okay, and so we can push the whole notion in here, and then we may obtain two these terms like this one, up to what? Up to 100 times, okay. And so if you know, you may watch the Matrix, or you don't watch the Matrix, and so you need to watch the Matrix in order to analyze the reality of the universe, okay. And so the Keanu Reeves is the best actor, but in that code or in this movie there's a number on to what? On the screen, like this one. Like this one, okay. And so these are metrics, because I've seen a beautiful girl and a working study guy by Indian, and so Indian and Chinese people all works on the time, but we may own the general matrices or the numbers on the matrix, okay. And so this is an example of what the Wachowski brothers creates the matrix notation on these codes, but you may use it. And so as a Turkish guy, you can create your own matrices, okay. And so this is the total generation of the random function generation. And so you can think that how can we use in the real life application. And so in the many times you need to utilize these codes, initialize any neural network structure, the system dynamics property, okay. And so you need to obtain this information for an efficient way by using these terms, okay. And so this is our main subjects of this code, okay. And so in the X4 we can now generates the random integer number, but how can we generate to what? Generates to floating points or the double points in here. And so we need to create the main function body in here like this one. And so as rand function was given in here with a time parameter as a input factor as a null, which means that the 0 null is equal to the 0 in the integer values or the natural type of these things, but in the pointers it's a difference, okay. And so if we have, or if we must create the float or double type of the number, how can we use the rand function in here, okay. And so in order to do that, we should call the printf function body in here like this one, random double value is equal to the what? LF is in this of these things, and so the rand num double, which is the name of the double value in here, double 0.0 in the first time, okay. And so how can we use the rand function in order to create the double notation at this position? And so the rand num double is equal to the what? The rand function in here. And so if I run this program, and then this term is equal to what? 290,000 blah blah blah. And so if I run and the other things, and so the every variable is different with the previous one, okay. But in order to create a double value or 0 to 1 value, or the normalization of these things, we should utilize this rand function with the process of the what of the rand function. And so in order to normalize these things, and so we have the rand max define comment in here. And so in the explanation or IntelliSense process, the maximum value that can be returned by the rand function, and so which is equal to the 0x7ff, which is the 32,767. Okay, and so if I run this program and then the whole number within the range of the what, the 0 to 1 value. Okay, and so if I get these things, and then we can create any loop in here, iteration 10. Okay, and so if I get these things, and so the iteration is equal to the 0 in this time, but with the type of the what, the integer value. And so in order to break this condition, we need to create these things, iteration plus 1. Okay, and so if I run this program, the whole the terms within the range of the what, the 0 to 1 value. Okay, and so if I push the 100 value in here, and then the 100 random values within the range of the what, the range of 2 this term. Okay, and so the max and mean value can be created by using this term of the other process. Okay, and so if I copy of all the thing in this notation, and then we can create another example. For example, an employer like me in the finite company ask, you need to generate a random number between two what, the some minimum value like 0 to maximum value like 10. And so our range of these codes is 0 to 10. Okay, and so we need to create the maximum and minimum value notation in here. And so if we have this kind of process, and so integer return value should be added in here, and so we can define the function prototype to run phi number like this one. And so we need to obtain the int minimum value, int maximum value, and so this function generates two value between two minimum and the maximum notation. And so if we have this kind of information in here, and then we can call it round phi number in here like this one, for example 0 to 10. Okay, and so if this terms returns these values, and so the rand double is changed with the what, the double is returned with the integer value, and so num value should be equalized this term. Okay, and so we can iterate these things, and so this term should be changed with this notation. Okay, and so if we have this kind of information in here, int rand phi number can be defined in this position with the parameter of int mean value, int max value, and so this rand and num double should be created at this position. Okay, and so we should define the int rand num value in here with the initial value of the 0, and so rand double value should be conditioned at this position. Okay. And so how can we define the 0 to 10 value or min to max value? And so we should use the minimum value and the maximum value at this rand function. Okay. And so what about this? Firstly, we need to add the mean value in here like this one. And so if the mean value is added in here, and so we should obtain the percentage value of this notation, or the remainder should be found by using the sum algorithm, but with the range of the max mean value. Okay. And so we need to also the return value of the what rand and num value in here. Okay. If this is true, and then the code is okay. And so if we test this program, and then the whole number is in the range of the what is in the range of 2 this term. Okay, 0 to 10. Okay, if this is true, and then we can select the 8 value in here. Okay, if I run this program, 8, 9, 10 is added at this position. Okay, and so what about the -5 and 1? And so if I run this program, and then we have the values or random values on to what between 2 -5, which is the minimum value, to 0, which is the maximum value on these things. I'm sorry, it's not a 0, it's the 1 value at the maximum notation. Okay. And so these are the first subject or the topic of our algorithm techniques on the generating random number. In the second notation, we should focus on to what how to use recursive function in C programming language. Okay. And so this is the last example related to the random number generation. And so we need to copy up all these things in here. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. Recursive function. Okay. This is our topic. And what it is? Recursive function, it's a function, and so that's calling itself. And what does it mean? And so if you have this kind of the main function body in here like this one, and so if you have this main function, and so blah 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 blah, there's a code in here but I don't write it. And so if there's a function in here like this one, my func, okay. And so if the my func defined by these things like this one, blah 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 blah, there are codes in here. And so in the internal of this my func, if we have called the my func function again, and so this function is a recursive function. Congratulations. Okay. And so why can we use these function blocks in the C programming language or in any programming language? Because it's an algorithm, and so you can use in the everywhere this code, even in the math. Okay. Suppose that the as a first explanation or the example can be given by using this one. Include stdio.h, and so with the starting address on the RAM storage points can be given by like this one. And so we shall define some specific function in here like void func. And so if I call the func in here, and so if I wrote the printf function, this is my func in here, and so if I run this program, and so this my func is calling and the program ends. Okay, but if I call the func function in here, and so you may think that this is a compiler error, because the any func cannot be called by itself. But in the programming language, this is not a syntax error or the semantic error. Okay, even if the real life you cannot be sure about that this notion or recursion notion is processed on your brain. Okay, and so if I call this function body in here, and so if I run this program, and then the endless, this is my func, is run, and so week 10x has stopped working. Okay, close program. And then if we have this notation is removed, and then if you run this program, and so this my func is running, but at that position the func calling is called by the program, and then finally we get the error, and so it's a runtime error, and so I'm sorry, it's a semantic error. Okay, but not a syntax error. And so if I close the program, and then I can run on this code, but I can explain all the things related to recursion function, but there's one reason to show this example. Every virus, not a corona, but on a computer structure, is based on what? The recursive operation. Memory leakage, memory fatal error, and so you get the blue screen on your computer, the HTTP blah blah 500.03 error is based on what? Based on this recursive operation. A function called itself, and the RAM or the processing units cannot load these code processing units, and so the program is down. Okay, and so in the real life world or in computer architecture, the whole viruses is based on what? The recursive operation. And so the whole viruses or the antivirus program checks only the future of what? Recursive operation. And so you can sell this information like you found it in the ortam or medium. Okay, I cannot recall the ortam in English, I'm sorry. And so this is our basic operation on the recursive function operation, but it's a fatal usage or the wrong usage. Okay, but we can use this recursive function in a good point or good function written codes. Okay, and so In the second example, we maybe use the recursive function in order to obtain what the factorial calculation in maths. Okay, like this one. Suppose that we need to calculate the 5 factorial, and so you need to put the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and 0, but 0 it's not okay, and so you may use this function body, and so this calculation you may found to what the 120 value. But this is a recursive process. The number is -1 times -1 times -1 times -1 times -1 until what? Until the number is 1. Okay. And so we can also use the summation of any number in here. Okay, like the number of 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We can also add these things like this one: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and so if you have this kind of information in here, and then we can build the example session in here. Number and result is are an integer type of variable, and so printf should be given at this position, enter a number like this one, and so we can use the scanf as to what? To obtain the number value from the user. Okay, and so result must be equal to what? The sum function at this position, the number value of these things. And so we can print the whole equation like this one: summation is equal to the %d new line character, and so the result can be assigned at this position. And so how can we implement this sum function? By using only what? The number value. Okay, and so in the direct notation we can use the int sum with the parameter of int n, and so we can build into what? The integer func result is initialized with what? The 0 value. Okay, and so if we have this information in here and then the n for a given number at this time, and so func result initialized with n. Okay, and so in a while loop n is not equal to 0, and so we can collect the whole func result term with the other one. Okay, func result plus n. Okay, and so n minus 1, 1, and so this term should be obtained by using this formula, and so return value is that the func result. And if I run this program, and so the entry number is at 3, and so the sum value is 9. Oh, this is not okay. And so if push the 3 variable in here, and so 3 is not equal to the 0, and so the func result is updated what? But with n. Okay, this is not correct, and so this is correct at this time. Okay, or we can use the n like this one. Okay, and so if I run again this program, and then if I push the 3 value, oh, we have 6 variable. Congratulations. And so the Berkem also congrats me. Okay, The congrats, I'm not sure it's a correct word, but I'm sorry. I'm a teacher in this lesson. Okay. And so, this are the function prototype related to what? The sum value. And so if I run again this program, and then if I push the 5, and so summation 15, okay? And so 5, 9, 12, 14, 15. Okay, we got this. And so if I run this program, and so 100 is equal to the what? 5050. If you don't believe me, you can calculate it with by hand, okay? And so how can we utilize a recursion operation in order to sum this whole equation? And so we should define another function definition, sum recursion, with the parameter of int n. And so we can build this code. And so if n is not equal to the 0, and then the summation process with the what? N plus n minus 1, okay? N, or if we have this term is equal to the 0, or n is equal to the 0, return n should be returning in here, okay? And so some recursion can be used to calculate the total results in here, like this one, the number value in here. And so printf result recur is assigned to this position. And so if I run this program, and then I can give the 5 value, and so sum 15, okay? Some recursion. If I run this program again, and so 7 is equal to what? In the normal summation 28, in recursion 28, okay? But how can we use this sum recursion function in order to understand the underlying mechanism, which is the implementation process on the CPU or a RAM structure or the math? We can debug this code, okay? And so I have a breakpoint in here like this one. And so if I run this program with the local Windows debugging, and so if I push the 3 value in here and enter, and so the result value is 6. And so in order to obtain the inside information coming from the sum recursion, we should step over or step out information in here, like the shift F11. And so if I push these things, oh, I'm totally forgot. And so if I debug this program, step info, okay? And so step info goes to the what? The sum recursion function, okay? And so if I push this code, and so the sum is calls again in here, okay? If I push the step into or F11 in here, and then this function is also calculating here. Oh, I'm sorry. This is also a sum recursion. Sorry about it. So if I run this program, and then 3 value in here, and so if I push the step into, and so sum recursion calls the sum recursion, okay? And so n is equal to the 2, okay? N is equal to what? 1, okay? N is equal to the 0, okay? Return n. And so this functions also returns its value. And so result recur is equal to the what? Is equal to the 6 value, okay? And so in the debug console, the summation is equal to the 6, but some recursion is also equal to the 6 value. Okay, and this is how we use the recursion function blocks. In the advanced processing blocks, you may learn or the backpropagation algorithm or the Levenberg-Marquardt optimization techniques can be initialized with the recursion operation, or the inverse of the matrix, or the matrix operations can be done or handled by using the recursion or recursive functions. Okay, it's a useful technique in order to provide to what the beautiful, or in Turkish şık bir design, and in the English terms the beautiful or the running full code. Chic. Okay, that's the Berkem warns me about that. The Berkem tell me şık bir design in English.
It's a chic design.
Chic design. Okay, then thanks to the Berkem to additional and wonderful information about that. And I'm a teacher, but I'm learning every day, and so Allah razı olsun. So this is the final topic of our lesson. Okay, and so I hope you enjoy this lesson, and so welcome to the matrix or matrix in the first random generation process. And so recursion gives you creating the virus on the computer structure. Have a fun with that information, and see you guys.